scary new research suggests a cow virus may cause human breast cancer. This article was written by Amber Brenza and provided by our partners at Prevention. If the preliminary findings of a new study pan out, scientists may be one step closer to discovering what causes more than 90% of all breast cancers. According to new research from the University of California, Berkeley, a common cancer-causing virus in cows, bovine leukemia virus, or BLV, appears to be linked to human breast cancer. But before you swear off dairy completely, there are a few things you need to know. If you have breast cancer, you might have been exposed to BLV. The study, published in the journal PLOS-1, tested breast tissue samples from 239 donors with and without breast cancer. DNA from BLV in mammary and blood cells in cattle is found in 59% of cancerous breast tissue samples and 29% of normal breast tissue samples, suggesting that the presence of BLV in breast tissue is strongly associated with breast cancer. But exposure to BLV might not actually cause breast cancer. Take lung cancer and cigarette lighters, for example. There's an association between the two. Cigarettes cause lung cancer, and you light them with a lighter, but that doesn't mean that cigarette lighters cause lung cancer. As of right now, the same goes for BLV and breast cancer. This is an interesting finding, but this is really preliminary, says James Abraham, MD, director of the Cleveland Clinic's Breast Oncology Program. We need to really prove that the virus is changing the breast tissue, and we don't have that evidence now. These findings have the potential to change everything you know about breast cancer. The theory that breast cancer could be caused by a virus like the relationship between the human papillomavirus and cervical cancer among others differs from the current idea that it's usually related to a combination of genetics and lifestyle choices. The idea evolved from findings that breast cancer in mice results from the mouse mammary tumor virus MMTV, which is transmitted from mothers to pups via milk. When researchers concluded that there's no such human virus passed between mothers and children, Buehring picked up the research focusing on a different type of milk, cow's milk. With good reason, humans in Western cultures consume more cow's milk than human milk, according to the study. And BLV is ever present in the U.S. dairy supply, with 38% of beef herds, 84% of small-scale dairy herds, and 100% of large-scale dairy operations testing positive for BLV, according to the USDA. Because only fewer than 5% of all cattle develop the cancer related to BLV, cows with the virus often go undetected. What goes on in your cereal is an unlikely culprit. I don't think we're anywhere close to making any strong statements that drinking milk can increase the risk of breast cancer, says Abraham. And Buehring agrees that unless it's coming straight from the udders, the milk in your bowl is harmless. The virus is inactivated through pasteurization, so I would advise people not to drink raw milk because the virus could still be active in that state, says Buehring. That being said, pasteurization didn't come about until the 1920s, so your mother or grandmother could have acquired BLV through her own diet and ultimately passed it down to you. Despite the fear factor, this could be great news. If the research pans out and scientists establish a more certain link between BLV and human breast cancer, we could go from simply treating the disease to actually being able to prevent breast cancer. It could totally revolutionize preventative measures by simply blocking the transmission of the virus, whatever the source is, says Buehring. Should we discover that the virus is regularly being acquired from cattle, there are relatively simple practices like never ever drinking raw milk again. You shouldn't be anyway, but that's another story to reduce the likelihood of developing the disease. And if it's transmitted through humans? Then somebody could develop a vaccine and it could lead to a whole new way of viewing breast cancer, like the vaccines for hepatitis B and HPV, which have resulted in drastic drops in cancer rates, says Buehring.